Hey guys, it's Sarah. Welcome back to my channel and another day of Vlogmas. So today's video was actually a collab organized by my best friend Erica. It's just the two of us, so I mean, you got two videos to watch, guys. Erica had the idea of doing 3 crafts for one video, each craft focusing on one of our favorite Christmas movies. I can't talk, guys, I'm sorry. So my personal favorite Christmas movie is How the Grinch Stole Christmas. My absolute favorite one is the live action with Jim Carrey, but I do love all the Grinch movies. And so we decided to do one craft for the Grinch, one craft for Home Alone, which is Erica's personal favorite, and then one craft for Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas, which we both love. I love Home Alone too, by the way, but it's kind of like Erica's next favorite, and because we're both Disney-based YouTube channels, that's just like what made the most sense. Also, with that last one, we kind of gave each other some wiggle room because basically it's just like Disney Christmas is that final craft. So mine has to do with the movie, but I wouldn't say it's like you're gonna look at it and know exactly what movie it's from, if that makes sense. So yeah. Also, one of my crafts is this shirt right here. I don't usually do shirts on my channel just because you have to have like certain supplies. Like I have a silhouette machine to cut the vinyl, and then I do have a heat press. But I still wanted to include it. I did tie-dye the shirt myself, and then I did the font and all that. So that's one of my crafts. Spoiler alert, I guess. Make sure after you watch this video that you guys head over to Erica's channel to see what amazing crafts she came up with. And without any more chatting, let's jump into this tutorial.
My first craft is going to be my Home Alone craft. Now I picked up this little piggy bank at Dollar Tree a while back, but they have a lot of different versions of these. Some have black frames, some have colorful frames. Popping the back out's a little bit tricky, but you can definitely do it. I just used this little chisel that I had on hand to carefully pop it out, and then I need to remove the words on this, even though I do love it. I think they used a beautiful font, and they did a great job. Good job, Dollar Tree. But I want this to say something else. So just using some regular nail polish remover, I am going to remove these letters. Now, at first I was not sure if these were on the front or the back, so that's me trying to figure it out. They are on the back. They are on the inside of the piggy bank. So I'm just using a paper towel, and once you kind of get the removal process started, they come off really, really easily. If you're having trouble, I suggest soaking it. So like with the wet paper towel wet, just kind of press it down on the letters, and then you'll be able to rub them off and remove them. And once you have the letters all removed, we are ready to move on to step 2, which is changing the covering on the backing of the piggy bank. Now, I had this scrapbook paper on hand from Hobby Lobby. They sell it 4 sheets for $1, which is such a good deal. You could also use wrapping paper if you're trying to do exclusively Dollar Tree products, or if you're trying to use something you have on hand. You can also use fabric. I've done a tutorial on this before, and you can pretty much Mod Podge any backing that's like flat onto these things. So I just traced the backing onto the paper in the section that I wanted to show, and then I'm cutting it out with some scissors, and I'm just going to use some Dollar Tree Mod Podge to get this onto the back. So again, just kind of checking my sizing. And this is the Mod Podge I had on hand, but they do sell Mod Podge at Dollar Tree. Any kind will work, glossy, matte, doesn't really matter. And then I just use a Dollar Tree sponge brush to paint this onto the back. And then I'm going to take my paper and press it down on. I do suggest starting in the middle and kind of smoothing it out with your hands, just working out any bubbles toward the edges. I tried using this little scraper on it, which helped a little bit, but I don't love doing this because I'm always scared it's going to damage the paper and like rip it up. This time around it did a good job, but just be wary of that if you're using a little like squeegee tool. Now for the letters on the inside of this piggy bank, I wanted it to say, "Keep the change, you filthy animal." Get it? It's piggy bank for change. Anyway, moving on. So I cut these letters out on my silhouette, and I just used like the American typewriter font, but you of course can do this in 100 different ways. You can use stickers, you can use the, I was about to say stickers again, but they've just got so many good sticker options at Dollar Tree. You could buy a decal if you wanted to. You could also just paint the words onto the backing of this, or you could paint them onto the actual glass if you got the right type of paint for that, but you do have options when doing this if you don't have a die cut machine. And I will tell you guys, my transfer tape is kind of stubborn sometimes, and it really will not let go of the letters, so I just took my time with this and gently tried to remove it without damaging any of the letters. Now, the reason I decided to put the letters on the inside of the piggy bank instead of the outside is because I thought it would look a little nicer if they couldn't like be peeled off from the outside. Once it was done though, the problem is the glare. Like the glare makes it look like some of the stickers aren't stuck as well as others. So it's just kind of dealer's choice, but I think if I did it again, I might actually put them on the outside of the glass instead of the inside. Also, if you're cutting letters out on your die cut machine and you want to put them on the inside, make sure you mirror your image so that they are read backwards when you cut them, and then they'll be forwards when you put them on the glass. But this is what it looked like when I finished this step. Now, the background of this bank was kind of loud, so in order to kind of dull it down, I did distress the paper a little bit, and how I did that was just by taking some gray and I believe black chalk paint and just dry brushing it on. Now, if you've never dry brushed before, all you have to do is take a really firmly bristled brush, dip a tiny bit into the paint, wipe off any excess on like a paper towel or a scrap piece of paper, and then just kind of smush it and smudge it all over the paper. Just make sure you go in one direction and you'll get kind of that weathered effect. It's a little bit hard to see here, but as I keep going, you're going to really see a difference, and it just kind of dulled down the really bright colors on this background. And that is the final step. Now I'm just going to put the backing back into the piggy bank, and this is all ready to go. This was actually for a gift swap I'm a part of, so that video is posting in a couple of days, so make sure you guys are subscribed to my channel so you find out who this went to. So my next craft is a shirt, and I really did love how this came out. It's pretty simple to do, but I'm going to take this white George shirt from Walmart and get it wet. Now that it is nice and damp, you don't want it dripping, you just want the whole shirt pretty evenly coated with water. I'm going to be doing the crunch tie-dye method, so I am just crunching it up into a ball. You don't need rubber bands for this. And then I'm taking this really, it's kind of like a neon green tie-dye. It's from Walmart, but I like the pastel look when I do tie-dye, so I'm actually going to dump out most of the powder. I only left a little bit in, if you guys can see it in there. And then I'm just going to add water using this little sippy cup because I don't have a sink in my craft room, so, but I'm going to add a pretty significant amount of water, and then I'm going to shake it up really good. And then kind of a little like tip or trick, I guess, for tie-dye is you can use a paper towel and test out the color on the paper towel, and it'll give you a pretty clear depiction of how it's going to turn out when it dries. Now, I will say with this particular color, it definitely lightened up after going through the wash, so I would assume that it's going to you might need to add just a little bit more color. I also don't let them sit overnight because, again, I like that pastel kind of like lighter tie-dye look, so it just depends on your personal tie-dye preference, I guess. But I just added a little bit more powder, shook it up really good, and then I'm just testing it out. I did not make enough. I ended up having to mix some more as I was going, but it ended up being fine. Like the colors matched and everything. So now that I have my shirt crunched on my table, I'm just going to take my tie-dye bottle and cover it in tie-dye. Now, if you like more white to show, then you can leave some white gaps like I end up doing. But if you want the shirt to be pretty covered in green, you really do need to soak the entire shirt. Like anywhere you see white, add tie-dye. Because of all those folds that we created by crunching it, it is going to leave a pretty good amount of white on the shirt. And then once you've done the front, just flip it over and then do the exact same thing to the back. Now I let mine sit for about 4 or 5 hours, and then I rinsed everything out in my kitchen sink. And then this is what it looks like initially when I rinsed all the tie-dye out. If you guys can see, I do have a significant amount of white on mine. So again, if you're wanting it to be more colorful, just make sure that you add a lot of dye. And then I'm going to get all this excess water out and then throw it in the washing machine by itself. You don't really have to, but that's just what I do. And then in the dryer. And then once it came out of the dryer, this is what it looked like. Now for the actual words, I just cut out the symbol phrase, Whoville Holiday Cheermeister, and I made this on my silhouette machine using just red heat transfer vinyl. I believe that this is a random Amazon brand. I can link it for you guys if you need to know like a good brand off Amazon. And then I used the font Grinched if you guys are looking for it. It's a free font, and I believe it's from dafont.com. If I can find it, I'll link that below as well. But after getting that all lined up on my t-shirt, I just laid it down on my heat press and then put my little sheet over it and let it sit for 15 seconds at 302 degrees. And after 15 seconds, I was able to lift it up and my shirt was all done. So this next craft, I'm using this little sleigh sign that I picked up from Dollar Tree. They have 2 versions of this, and I'm just going to be painting this. I did try to peel off the paper on the front, but it doesn't really peel, so instead I just took some sandpaper and I sanded off all of the glitter on the top of the sign and then also off of the snowflakes on the bottom. I will tell you guys, I use sandpaper, but Dollar Tree sells these little sanding sponges and they work so well, like so much better than sandpaper. But I found a new trick using a chisel. So I just took this little metal chisel that I have and I used it to like chisel off the glitter, and it worked so good. I was so proud of how like how well this worked. So I found kind of a new little trick for myself, and Dollar Tree does sell these chisels. So once I got off all of the glitter, I'm just going to take my white Rust-Oleum chalk paint and I'm going to give this 3 coats. I know that's a lot, but if you guys can see, the Santa is like metallic and so is Rudolph's nose, and that part was very hard to cover up. So I went with a 3rd coat just because this is a gift for somebody else and I wanted to make sure that it looked really nice for them. So this is what it looked like after just 2 coats, but if you guys look toward the bottom, you can kind of see like Santa's boot still poking through the paint. So I did go in with a 3rd coat. I know that seems excessive, but again, this is a gift for somebody else, so I didn't want to leave any imperfections if I could avoid it. Now for the actual words on the sign, I cut this out of vinyl on my Silhouette machine, and I'll show you guys the total design once it's on there, but I just chose to use the phrase old-fashioned holiday sleigh rides. I also added a little price sticker in another color, and I also have a little silhouette of Mickey and Pluto in a sleigh. If you guys don't have a die cut machine, you're still totally able to do stuff like this. I've done other methods where you can just print out like a paper copy and then you use pencil on the back of it, and like you can transfer the image on and then paint it. It's very easy. It's like using a stencil. I'll link that video above if you guys need help with that. Or you can always like message me in the comments below or send me a DM on Instagram. But if you do have a die cut machine, I chose to do this again because this is a gift for somebody else and I wanted to make it extra nice for them. So right now I'm just obviously weeding all of the little cutouts that I made, and then I lost all of the dots on my eyes on that first phrase in green that I showed you guys, which I ended up being really happy about because I decided to add some little hidden Mickeys using some red puffy paint, which I'm going to show you in a second. So the first part that I placed on the sign is Pluto's. I'm adding this to the top of the sleigh. This was the easiest piece to lay down by far. It adhered really nicely. The transfer tape wasn't too sticky for it. It did a really good job. I was very proud of it. The rest of this, I did kind of struggle. My transfer tape is almost like too good. Like it's so sticky that it really doesn't want to let go of the letters. If you guys have any tips for me, like doing this, please let me know below, because I don't use my Silhouette on every single project, so I feel like I'm not as good at it as I want to be. But I'm just putting the old-fashioned holiday at the top, and then I'm going to put the little silhouette of Mickey and Pluto in the middle, and then sleigh rides on the bottom, and then on the very bottom I'm going to have like a little 25-cent sign. But I'm just using my little squeegee to rub on the letters, and then I really had to take my time with it because the transfer tape was being so particular. And then this is where you guys can see me add the little 25-cent sign on the bottom, and that is the last piece. And it went on like a dream, like no problems at all. So the next step is going to be distressing this. I'm using this old paintbrush that I damaged on purpose. It is a firm bristle brush, and I need to dry brush this whole thing just to give it a little bit more character, I guess. So I'm using my truffle brown, it's like a chocolatey brown chalkboard paint, and you can also just use acrylic paint for this. And I just barely dip it in the paint and then wipe off the excess on a scrap piece of paper, and then I go through and I just dry brush this all over. This gives it a weathered look, and I think it gives it kind of a more high quality decor item look, if that makes any sense. Like I feel like it makes it look more like it's from a store and less like it was DIY'd. But I'm just going to do this all over the white. And then when I get to the brown legs, I'm also going to fill those in with that truffle color. Now the reason I decided to paint the legs of the sleigh is because they're very shiny with whatever the covering is from Dollar Tree, so this kind of dulled down that shininess, and again, I feel like it just makes it look a little bit more high quality. After that paint dries, I am going to go in with my white Rust-Oleum chalk paint again and give it the same dry brushing effect that I did earlier, but this time using white on brown. Now, I believe I said puffy paint earlier and I was wrong. I used some red acrylic paint. This is 50 cents at Walmart. And then just using a really pointed brush that's from Walmart. It comes in like a multiple pack of brushes. I'm just going to do little Mickeys above all the eyes. in this phrase. I think this came out really cute. It just added like another touch of magic and Christmas, and I liked the little pops of red on the sign. And here is a quick little close-up of what it looks like. I did decide to do one more thing to my sign, but I would actually, if I could go back and do this, I would do it right after the white paint's dry. So before I distress it and add the letters and all that, I would go in and I just marked every inch mark using a meter stick. And then I'm just going to make these little like plank lines across it to make it look more like it's a wooden sleigh. And I just did this with pencil. That's really it. I didn't go in with paint or anything like that. I just did it with the pencil and it looked really good. The final little decorative thing I did is I took these little jingle bells that actually were in a box swap that I posted yesterday. Heather included these in the wrapping of the ornaments that she sent me, and I saved them. And I thought they looked so cute attached to this little sleigh. It just kind of gives it a little extra holiday spice. So the actual final step, I feel like I've said that multiple times, but this is the last thing. I am taking Mod Podge and I'm using the glossy one from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to paint that all over my sign. This just helps these vinyl cutouts stay on and really become permanent on this sign, and it also sets the paint to where it won't chip off or scratch off easily. And this is my final craft and the finished sign. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know which of these 3 crafts was your favorite. If I had to pick one, I honestly do think it would be this sign. It's just so cute. But let me know in the comments below which one you guys liked the most.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Please be sure to head over to Erica's channel and watch her video because I personally cannot wait to see how she made the 3 crafts that she made because I've seen them and they're awesome and I want them. If you guys are new to my channel, I do hope you'll consider subscribing. I am doing Vlogmas, so I will have a video up for you guys tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day and the next day and quite a few days after that. You don't want to miss out on some really cute Disney DIYs and content coming your way. I'll see you guys in my next video tomorrow. Bye.